Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
It's the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
I feared you may hesitate to take the necessary risks as we are so close to our wedding.
Surely you know I would never allow personal considerations to interfere with my professional responsibilities.
Not consciously, perhaps.
Vulcans are not the only species capable of choosing logic and duty over emotion.
Fair point.
We have both chosen lives of service. To balance that with our love for one another will never be easy. But at least we can face that struggle together.
Okay, let's start.
Starting now.
The podcast
On your toes, everyone. Mission's up.
Jesus. Is that from this week?
Yeah, sure did.
Well, we're gonna explore all sorts of fun
Sure
stuff
did.
this week. Okay, hello, and
Hello.
and welcome to the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
Begin preparations.
If this is your first time tuning in, why?
Look at.
Why now?
It is good to see you again.
No, that doesn't apply if they're new people tuning
Oh,
in.
shoot. I fucked it up already.
I mean, you're welcome. You're welcome. We're not trying to push
Wrong
people away.
clips.
okay.
It's
Come
fine.
in.
It's like, I'm going to come in on the 9th episode of the final season of Star Trek
Yeah.
Discovery.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Well,
What?
Welcome anyway. Welcome anyway. Probably for most of you, it's not the first time listening. Probably for most of you, it is. It may be the 9th time listening.
And for all of you that have listened more than once and this is at least your second episode or more,
It is good to see you again.
Excellent.
That was
Thank
better?
you. Yes.
Now it works.
there was a dangling participle or whatever you're going on there. Had to close up that
Dangling Kelpian.
dangling.
Yeah, well, kelp dangles upward.
She taught me how to. All right. I always get that wrong. I taught her how to dangle.
Yeah, Forrest Gump, correct? Is
She
that-
taught him how to climb, and
Jenny-
he taught her how to dangle.
Jenny taught Forrest Gump how to climb.
Right.
And-
Because he got the gimpy legs, right?
And I taught her how to dangle
Yes, indeed. All right.
because he hung from a tree with his leg braces.
Yeah, I think for the people, okay, the extra content is probably useful because not everyone has seen Forrest Gump.
We're getting to that point.
Yeah.
We're getting to that
Now
age.
they don't even need to.
We're
We
getting to
just
that
told them.
age where
Yeah.
Forrest Gump is like a really old movie, and there's a whole generation of kids who have never heard
it's
of it.
hilarious.
And you don't need to see it. It's not that
No,
good.
no,
it's
it's
not as good as I
nonsense.
remember. When you go back,
I remember
and watch,
seeing it.
it's a problematic movie.
I remember seeing it in theaters for the first time and enjoying it, but it made me feel kind of funny.
It's
And
a
then-
movie that
and then,
tricks you
like-
into thinking you're enjoying
And then
it.
later I saw
It's
it.
some kind of baby boomer fantasy. or
Later
something.
again I saw it and I was like, there's just stuff happening. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, right. It's just a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But my friends, I must remind you,
We're
this
not.
is,
Yeah.
this is not It's Got Forrest Gump.
No.
Thankfully.
Not anymore.
No.
And it won't ever be because
And we
you guys
just ended it.
you guys wouldn't let me turn it into It's Got Fried Green Tomatoes.
No,
You tried.
I've tried multiple occasions. I've been rebuffed at each turn. But maybe I'll go off and do my own Fried Green Tomatoes podcast at some point. But in the meantime,
Red alert.
Gee, yeah, this is in the meantime, this is
Green alert.
episode 241 of the It's Got Star Trek podcast. Isn't that great?
clever.
It is indeed. A quick reminder, of course, as always, or at least as of recently, we have a Patreon at patreon.com/itchgotstarch. It's gonna sound like
Oh, holy noodle.
sound like President Biden. Patreon.
This is getting weird.
Patreon.com
You're making everybody nervous.
/ It's Got Star Trek. It's easy. It's easy.
It's easy.
It should be.
Should be easy.
It's got Star
Are
Trek.
you sure?
You can also go to our website and there's a link there. But anyway, go check it out. There's some fun stuff there, Star Trek related and otherwise. It's a very modest fee. If you would simply like to join as a free member, there's still some free content put up there. There's always free previews and there's check it out. Okay. That bit's
Power
done.
of creation.
The shilling is done. We are required to do that due to our contract with Big Star Trek.
And FCC stuff.
Yes. And there are other podcasts available, other Star Trek podcasts available. We do need to note that for our English, our UK listeners.
We forgot to give the top of the hour station identification.
Yes.
We could get fined for that.
Yeah. Well, we could if we were under a different sort of regulatory regime.
No, this is the podcast identification. The podcast identification is the version. It's at the bottom of the hour, actually. Unlike the station identification, which is the top of the hour, the podcast identification is on the bottom hour. Because you know why? Because then it doesn't.
No, I don't know why.
Because it doesn't. They don't want them to interfere with each other if they were both at the same time.
Yes. And then traffic and weather is together on the 8th. Traditionally.
You live in a weird.
Isn't that the weather?
land
That's
of
the Weather
rules.
Channel.
Well, anyway. So yes, that's if we were on
Science
the radio.
later problem now.
Yeah, that was if we were on the radio. We are not, but that was a fun.
And then there's a whole bunch of commercials.
It was a fun little diversion. We don't have any mail this week, but if future you would like to send us email or voicemail, you can get us email at feedback@itsgotstartrek.com and voicemails at itsgotstartrek.com/record.
Or
Your
you can just
sign
be-
will reward you for your service.
You can just be lame and not to send us anything.
Or you can send an MP3. Or
Like everybody just did.
Or like everybody just didn't. All right. No, I like a little break sometimes from the emails because it's one of those things where we either have nothing or we have a whole bunch of stuff.
Feast or famine. That's what that's called.
Okay, I don't have any news and ups. Anything else? I mean, I know there's stuff going on in the Star Trek world. They've announced another writer for another reboot of Star Trek movies, but nobody thinks it's going to actually go anywhere.
All it's happening is Paramount Plus is just getting worse and worse.
That's top. My first fucking line in my notes is that Paramount Plus is like week to week is just shitting the bed worse and worse.
Yeah, it's all jittery, like on different streaming devices and stuff with different OSs or whatever. There's a new problem for each one.
Yeah.
Some of them it takes forever to buffer. Some like the audio gets out of sync. Some of it like it just jitters and won't and it starts like crapping out. It'll just slowly go skip and then like for my Shield, I have an NVIDIA Shield.
Mr. Fancy Pants. I have an NVIDIA Shield.
Well, I was just trying to
Piece of toast.
Just trying to say with that, what happens is it'll jitter, and then if I try to exit while it's jittering, it'll like freeze the whole. It'll like crash the whole thing, and I have to wait like 3 minutes for it to like figure out what it's doing. Again.
3 minutes?
Yeah, 3
I
minutes.
had
I'm
a-
just saying,
I-
Netflix never does that.
No, you're right.
I had a lot of
No.
I had a lot of garbliness watching Paramount Plus through the Chromecast,
Like YouTube does it.
and it's not unusual for Paramount Plus to have that like garbliness for like a little while before things like smooth
Yeah.
out. But usually
Far too common.
it smooths out like while it's doing the opening sequence stuff, before the Discovery flying through the Star Trek.
Oh
logo and
right,
stuff
the one.
like that. But this time it kept being like half the episode on my first watch through was like 300 by 200 resolution and all super garbly, and then occasionally stopping and stuff.
I remember watching the Enterprise episode where it begins with a shot of them in that. I guess it's that stadium looking thing in the water.
Dan has lifted his arms into the sky and he's spreading them as far apart as he can possibly
Is
make
that supposed to be Alcatraz or something?
What are you talking about?
In Enterprise, when they give big speeches in this big stadium looking place on the water in San Francisco.
So wait, you somehow got in your head that the Starfleet headquarters is like an Alcatraz.
No. That's not headquarters. It's just the presentation
It sticks
place.
out. It does have that bridge.
And
that
I
goes
don't know
out
if it's
there.
and I don't know that it's actually Alcatraz, but
I'd never considered that, and
Yeah.
now that I retroactively consider it, it could be the case.
it could be. Well, anyway, my point
I'm not familiar enough with San Francisco geography.
that
They gotta
shit
do something with
that
that.
shit was pissing me off about it being blurry and taking a while to get back into focus because I kept wanting to watch that because it was a big overhead digital sort of like picture shot and I wanted to look at it and there was no way for me to do it on Paramount Plus because it had to have 30 seconds of shittiness before. Anyways, but it's just getting worse every week. It sucks. Some programs will run fine, but others won't. Maybe
who's in charge of Paramount Plus?
I don't know how they do it if they have bandwidth assigned to each show or I don't know how that works.
Well, so Paramount is
Let's go get that guy.
Is currently up for sale. They have massive amounts of debts, and they're just not making enough revenue to overcome that, I guess.
You pathetic awkward!
And so they've got multiple different groups that are aiming to buy them. They aren't approving any new shows, by the way. So people have asked about Star Trek Legacy or other things, and they basically have a freeze, according to the articles I read, a freeze on any new content coming out until whatever deal goes through, right?
Is something amiss?
And then when a deal goes through, like let's say Sony buys them, Sony's only interested in some of the IP and maybe the Paramount studio lot where they film shows, and then they'll sell the rest. So a lot of it's going to get broken up again. You know, they spend a lot of time bringing like Viacom and CBS and all that stuff.
Viacom. You remember that commercial for Viacom where it was going Viacom?
Yeah.
Not specifically.
I do. Jesse
I remember
remembers.
that. Yeah, Viacom.
Viacom.
It sounded like some serious fucking shit.
Yep.
So anyway, we'll see what goes on. So I guess there was a little bit of a newsum up there.
I hope Netflix gets some more Star Trek stuff, but I don't know if that's at all
They
in
used to
any
have it all.
discussions. I mean, they got Prodigy, so it would be awesome if they got more stuff, like, and they could continue some other shows or something.
Yeah.
But
there's talk of Lower Decks trying to get picked up over there.
that would
too,
be
so-
amazing, and I would love to watch it on Netflix instead of
because Lower
Paramount
Decks
Plus.
being canceled. They're like, oh, it's not canceled. They get their final season, but yeah, it's like, no, it's effectively canceled.
I think that
they wanted to keep going.
I think it's established that the creators wanted to keep
Oh,
going.
100%. Yeah, at least a couple
It's a
years.
cartoon. You gotta go a few more.
Yeah, you should go like 30 years. Why not?
Still got the Simpsons going on.
Seriously. Okay. So anything else? Otherwise, we should just get into the discussion of this crazy penultimate episode of Star Trek Discovery's fifth and final season.
This is insane.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, like
Let's get to it.
most penultimate episodes we discuss, we end up discussing the word penultimate. So we don't have to do that.
And then multi-penultimate means many episodes before the last one. When you say multi-penultimate, it means there's several things
I've never
before
heard
the
anybody
last.
say that.
So it's a set of several things before the last thing is a multi-penultimate.
Who says that? Did you say
No,
that?
I'm sorry. It's the several things. Yeah, several things before the pack.
Are you teasing me for knowing the word anti-penultimate?
See, multi-penultimate means there's a set of things before the very
I think
last
you're teasing
one.
me for
You're
you-
doing all
I think
sorts of
you're-
crazy gestures.
You're teasing me for using anti-penultimate in our social media for last week's episode.
No,
That Tilly's wonderful.
Anti-penultimate.
I am excited that we get to look forward to much more Tilly in the Starfleet Academy. And there was a little bit of news. I guess there was some talk about how they've built like the biggest set or whatever that's ever been
the
on
biggest
Star
ball
Trek.
of twine in Minnesota.
Soda. That's a great Weird Al song.
Oh, sorry, that
Go
was,
check it out.
That was rude of me to interrupt.
It's very difficult for me to not just start singing that song because I don't know if I could do it now, but I used to know all 6 minutes straight through.
That's pretty impressive.
Yes, so Starfleet Academy is something to look forward to. But in the meantime, we get Tilly. She's helping wrap up this mission, which I guess we'll see that conclude next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
And here again, she's put into a position of authority with somebody who, at the beginning of the season, she was clashing with a bit.
Who could that be? Are you waiting for me to play something?
yes, I was, because you really looked like you were about to play a really great Rainer, quippy Rainer sound effect.
Shit. And start firing with everything we've got.
Okay. What do you want to do? You want to start at the beginning here? You want to start?
Yes,
with
sir.
this,
Thank you very good.
We have the reintroduction of Saru, which provides a great opportunity for some catch-up background information and some exposition.
Yes. Yeah.
This was a very good example of how you get exposition to work because it works contextually. Like Saru has returned to Federation headquarters.
That is a relief.
He's filling Tarina in on stuff. She's filling him in on what's going on with Voyager. So we're all caught up.
And it had him, and it brought Rillick back as well.
Yes.
Two people that hadn't been
right.
around for a while.
I'm glad she's back.
And they could definitely stick a bunch of exposition on them because it's just like I'm so happy to see some people back. You know.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
As I was listening, like. Sonequa Martin Green has like the vast majority of lines in this season, like the overwhelming amount of lines compared to anybody else. Like most of the stuff is from her, so she's got like her work cut out.
Is it too early for an episode of Fast Talking Burnham?
I don't think it's ever too early for that.
Oh, we all know what we're here to do. Can you stop the tractor beam from here? Commander, stand by. We're attaching the transport lug now.
Brain culture is rigidly hierarchical, so as long as we look the part and don't draw attention to ourselves, we shouldn't be challenged. Good, because you're going to pilot us in.
We just need a few more minutes to get the containment field down. Looks like there's about to be a shift change. Nobody likes a disgusted scion. The scientists must have constructed it to hide the progenitor's technology. Sending someone inside. We're gonna have to take that down if we want to secure the transport lock.
What makes you think I'm not? Now that we're more in range, what can you tell us about the target? Whatever it is, I trust you. Just do it.
Okay, then.
There's a lot this week. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Play the first one again.
Oh, we all know what we're here to do. Oh, we all know what we're here to do. Oh, we all know what we're here to do. We all know what we're here to do.
That one really jumps out of me.
Here's
It's
one
fantastic.
that kind of drives me crazy when I play it. This is a different one that I didn't play, but only works if you play it like overlapping each other. Is this one?
To gain access to the progenitor's technology. To the progenitor's technology. Access 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 to the progenitor's technology.
What I love about that is you're like, you know what really aggravates me? This thing that I went out of my fucking way to do.
Yeah, I know. I like had to hit it just at the right time.
So since they put them there. So since they put them there. So since they put them there. So since they put them there.
I love Fast Talking Burnham.
Since they put them there.
They think we're dead.
So since they put them
They
there.
think we're dead.
Since they put them
They
there.
think we're dead.
So since they put them
They
there.
think we're dead.
Since they put them
They
there.
think we're dead.
Since they put them
They
there.
think we're dead.
Since they put them
They
there.
think we're dead.
This is where we need to bring in the keyboard, get a beat going.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know, like a little
They
thumpy
think we're
thumpy.
dead.
Since they
This
put them
could be
there.
our
Think we're dead.
theme
Since they
music.
put them there.
You know, something
They
clever.
think we're dead.
Since they put them
They
there.
think we're dead.
So since they put them
They
there.
think we're
So
dead.
So you've
since they
changed
put them
the
there.
think we're
rhythm
dead.
a little bit.
Since they
So
put
that was a
them
little
there.
bit more jaunty.
Yeah, it's because I fucked up actually. This one's
no, but that was like a little. That was almost poppy. That was like a poppy bounce.
well. Then it was a happy mistake. You want to do a beat, Jesse? You want to go boom cheek boom cheek? No, that's not your thing, is it?
Not particularly.
No. Patrick likes to go boom chick, don't you?
Boom chick, boom chick.
You like go boom chick, right?
Boom chick, boom chick.
Patrick, you like to go boom chick.
Boom chi boom chi.
This guy is the king of boom chick.
They think we're dead.
Since they put them
They
there.
think we're dead.
Since they put them
They
there.
think we're dead.
Since they put them
They
there.
think we're dead.
Since they put them
They
there.
think we're dead.
Since they put them
They
there.
think we're dead.
Since they put them
They
there.
think we're
I know that's
dead.
not quite what you were looking
They
for.
think we're
but-
dead.
Sorry.
But it was still fun.
Yeah, that was a good fast talking Burnham. There was probably 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4. There was about 14,
But
14 clips there.
I really.
That's the whole episode.
yeah.
I appreciate your observing the amount of dialogue Burnham has this season, because until you mentioned it, I hadn't even considered that. But I think you're right, and I think part of the
reason I was
it's
like
accentuated because she's speaking so fast.
Yeah.
she's like getting extra words into
Right.
even her already extensive, her already extensive business.
And then part of the way I realized it was also from doing this, like finding the fast talking Burnham parts and like just the sounds in general. It's like there's I just had like a lopsided, because I noticed I barely had any Stamets, and it was because Stamets, like I said last episode, just kind of is there to give some technobabble solution. We don't really explore him too much, although this episode we got to see him worried a bit. But like
he's been very present and even involved, but not to the
not enough sound
degree.
stuff.
Yeah, not enough sound stuff.
Well, I mean, it's just interesting.
He makes a lot of funny faces.
Well, it's interesting what translates to like isolated sounds and what kind of like doesn't work or something.
We should do a TV show, because then we could show funny screenshots, like freeze frames of people making goofy little.
Could we play that song? It's like dit 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 dit.
I'm not recognizing the song. Could you sing it better?
We're walking on sunshine, or what isn't that? Like, oh,
no. Okay.
We're walking on sunshine.
What you gonna do, like freeze frame?
Freeze frame.
Isn't
Oh wait,
that a
freeze
song?
frame. Isn't the freeze frame? That's the one that goes. Freeze frame. That one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The troublesome thing is that you are
The troublesome thing. The penitent man. Penitent man. Penitent man will pass.
Only the penitent man
only
may
penitent.
pass. No, you have such musical skill. You sometimes seem to purposely choose not to employ it, even when it would benefit you because you're trying to communicate a point. And you're like, I'm going to sing a poor rendition of this song.
I like that.
So do you remember this song?
That was a clever way to talk shit because you ended it with you started with a compliment and
with a preposition. I ended it with a preposition,
and you slipped in a little shit talking in the middle there.
Shit talking Patrick.
It's like I know that you just saying like shit on purpose, right?
Because normally you're not like so silly. All right.
What if I did do that on purpose?
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
I don't know.
I simply don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Gift that keeps on giving.
All right. So we've done our fast talking Burnham bit. The beginning of the episode, they fly into these binary black holes.
Oh yeah, primordial black holes.
Which is cool.
Primordial black holes.
That's
I didn't double check, but I think Tilly's wrong about this. I think primordial black holes doesn't mean they're from the beginning of the universe. I think it means they're like really small or something. I don't know. I think it's one of those things that sounds like something different than it is. But I didn't look it up. I didn't have time to look it up, so let's not worry about that.
It was fun though that they chose to like hide it in between two black holes.
Yeah.
That was in equilibrium.
The whole Lagrange point. I've always been a fan of Lagrange points, and if I think most people who listen to this podcast will be have some passing knowledge of a Lagrange point. Mm-hmm. But if you don't. You can look it up on Wikipedia, but the long and the short of it is all gravitational bodies will have these what are called Lagrange points, which are areas of stability. Right? It's like where we put the James Webb telescope is in one of the Earth's Lagrange points. I forget. It might be Lagrange point number 2, and it all has to do with the difference between the Earth and the Moon and the Sun and all the other stuff. And so every gravitational body and collection of bodies will have these. So
Good talk.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I was probably talking about Lagrange point a little longer than necessary.
I found that this episode overall was pretty exciting. I enjoyed I enjoyed it. There was like a lot to hold my attention, and like there was a lot of cool stuff going on.
I sense a butt coming.
But there's a but. But I really do mean that. I really did find this.
Hey Jesse. This guy means it.
There were 2 points that were a little bit much for me, but it's okay. It's not like gonna make me lose sleep at night. One was that like the whole thing where they spore zapped into the black hole area because they set it all up, and I feel like they set the whole thing up just so they could have a cool action shot because it didn't really go anywhere. It didn't affect the plot at all, and it started back when Stamets was talking about like if I can get another hour and a half. By the way, Rayner really chewed his head off for that. He's like, you need to do it now, and it's like he was just asking, man. Don't need to bite his head off.
I don't know. I did not interpret it that way.
Yeah, he's like, man, hey man.
I just interpreted it as him speaking clearly about the urgency of the situation.
He said, within if we could have another hour and a half.
Hey guys, I'm going home.
Right.
Is that what he said?
That's what Stamets said after Rayner said, not gonna happen, Commander. Not gonna happen.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But so anyways, he was saying he needed an hour and a half just so they could say, no, you don't have that much time, just so they could have a reason for them to like not make proper calculations. That was a whole setup. So they would end up in the black hole area just so they could have that exciting scene with the cool graphics, and they escaped from it. It didn't really affect anything in the plot. It's fine. Yeah. It's okay. Not a big deal. Because overall, I enjoyed the stuff. The other point was at the end, while I did think it was pretty cool, like the plan to just blow the fuck out of the dreadnought and knock everybody out into space and then just transport them in. That was pretty cool. When the Discovery started like flying inside, whenever like the Star Trek starships start like doing crazy maneuvers through things, I don't have any reason not to buy it. And it's not just Discovery that's done it. But I don't have any reason not to buy it because they're in space and whatever. It's just this big, and maybe it's just I'm biased because I'm used to seeing like older Star Trek where they didn't have the means to make them look like they're flying around all crazy. So I'm used to this stationary like starship. But when I see them all doing all these maneuvers, I'm like, whoa, that seems like a little bit crazy. But who knows? I don't know. It just makes it hard. I
don't disagree with you in principle, but in terms of the way this episode was executed, I didn't think there was a lot of crazy flooping around.
There was,
because it kind of like seemed like it flew in there and was kind of like all like, bleh, and then like just turned around to try to like eke its way out.
Yeah, and on second watch, I noticed that too. But yeah, I don't know. It was just, I guess it's just whenever I see the starship like maneuvering at all in any kind of way, I just have a hard time. And that's probably, like I said, that's probably due to my bias for special effects.
It's good for you.
The limitations of special effects in the 80s.
It's good for you to be able to recognize and sort of articulate your own biases in an attempt to avoid making the wrong decision.
Well, that is a relief.
All right. Yes. Binary black hole party. That was fun. And then what I thought was really cool about this episode was how they set up this whole thing. They're all like, okay, we got to go get this thing. And we got, like you said, they had this whole action scene that was a little bit superfluous, but it did have the nice setup where they did all this work. And once they show up, the dreadnought just comes in and goes like, boom, grabs the thing and it's just like, okay, well, fuck.
Shit.
What are we going to do? And then they had that line where Burnham's all like, we're going to find a way to get it back. And I was like, normally I'm convinced by Burnham. I was like, that, I didn't buy that because it seemed like such a silly thing to say after all the effort they put in to get there in time. And then boom, Maul just took it away.
Yeah, that crazy Maul.
But a good opening sequence, taut, well directed. And why do you think that might be?
Did it have somebody famous directing it?
Yeah. Wasn't it Jonathan Frakes?
Jonathan Frakes.
It was Jonathan Frakes.
Jonathan Frakes. Was it Jaffa Frakes?
It was Jaffa Frakes. It was Jaffa Cakes.
Jaffa Cakes.
It was Jaffa Cakes.
Jaffa Frakes.
You look like you're scrolling to find a Jonathan Frakes.
You're not supposed to call out what happens
He's
behind
scrolling for Jaffa Cakes.
You're not supposed. This is all behind the scenes stuff. You're supposed to make it seem
vamping.
No, what you're doing is you're taking something that was seamless and you're adding a seam to it.
All right. So we're not looking at nothing. Don't put Jonathan Frakes out of your mind. We're talking about Star Trek Discovery.
You're damn right.
That one's tough because I didn't. That was before I was normalizing the sounds, so they're quieter. I've been going through the old ones and normalizing them, but I got distracted at one point.
But yes,
by the ass.
No, I said but yes. ... This episode was directed by Two Takes Frakes.
Two takes.
Johnny Boy Frakes. Trombone playing Frakes.
Gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, it is. It is the gift that keeps on giving. But we'll talk more about Jonathan Frakes' direction a little bit later.
Are you sure?
But okay, so opening sequence goes away. They come back.
It goes away.
I don't know. It concludes. Whatever.
So they have to do like not quite a heisty thing, but like
no, it is a heisty thing.
Well, it is a heisty thing, but it I guess because it didn't have like some jazz music and some drums playing, I don't associate it full on with.
No. Okay. So this.
But it was a very straightforward heist then because it was just they had the hacker team and they had
simple.
They had the hacker team and then they had the
I don't know what you're talking about. Straightforward. Look, no joke. When Burnham gave her whole heist speech, I thought it was a joke.
Okay, wait.
I thought it was being played for comedy, and they were going to all list a bunch of different crazy ideas.
Right. It was just. Well, it was just.
I was like, this is going to be a crazy comedy episode.
It was just the hacker team, and then it was just the infiltrators who had to do all the ass kicking, basically.
Yeah, but it was just funny because they're like, okay, here's the constraints, here's the problem, and then Burnham's like, all right. Here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
and then like the fucking Mission Impossible music,
right.
You know, it's like, all right, here's what we're gonna do this, and there's this, and then it's gonna be like two teams, and then we're gonna infiltrate through the fucking port, and then we're gonna wear disguises, and it's gonna be automatically translated, and everything's gonna be fine. And then so this whole speech
By the way,
and I was like, okay, now Deer is gonna have a plan, and now Stamets is gonna have a plan, but no, I had nothing wrong with the high. It just to me it seemed like it was directed and intended to be like a comedy moment. Also because they had the classic thing that you have in heists, and we're going to talk more about heists in a second after we come back from the break. But the whole flash forward, showing the plan before you do the plan thing and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, so but before even that.
It's funny. It's like this exhaust port thing. Like seems like a big liability. These exhaust ports in science fiction.
Yeah, I know. Because
it's like people always sneak in. There's no shields by this. You think in the
movies.
Star Trek 6,
and I hate to pull this move of like you'd think in the future they'd have this.
Star Wars, obviously.
I want to hesitate in saying like you'd think in the future they would have this or whatever because it's like it's a show. You don't know what they're gonna have in the future. But seriously, they have programmable matter, yet they don't have a way to shield and exhaust at the same time. Like how come you can't have a shield but still allow exhaust to go through it? You'd think they'd have something.
Why do you still have exhaust?
I'm so upset that the audience can't see Dan miming shields and exhaust parts.
Did you I was reading up on pathway drives, and there's not a lot of information about pathway drives. They were first introduced in Discovery's Kobayashi Maru, I think. And it's to lessen their dependence on dilithium.
Yeah, I don't think they've provided a whole lot of information on exactly.
I want to know more about this pathway drive because they talked about it again.
Well, before we get to the break, and before we even get to the pathway drive and all that other business, I guess that part's not an integral part of this episode. But Burnham mentions, again, we found out at the end of the last episode that when she was in her mindscape, the program she was talking to gave her a clue. Now, last week we didn't know what the clue was, the thing that she would need to get to the progenitor's technology.
I know what the clue is.
Well, now we know what the clue is because she told us what the clue is, and I want to know what you think of it. Dan, are you
Build the shape of the one between the many.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts as to
Build
what
the
that
shape
might be?
of the one. There is one thing between many things.
Do you think it's going to be a DNA? Is it a DNA clue?
You think it's going to be like
the shape of like the like the humanoid shape or whatever?
You don't think it's going to be something more esoteric, like one mind among the pool of many that creates the universe that builds your consciousness or something?
It's probably going to be some nonsense.
Or do you think it's something literal, like stick some shit in the DNA? I really don't know. I have no idea what it means.
Me neither.
Stick some shit. What was it?
Like stick some shit in the DNA.
Hi, Captain.
All right. Okay. Let's take a quick break.
No.
Yes, we'll take a quick break.
No.
When we get back,
no.
I do want to cover a little bit more about this whole heist business. Exactly. Okay. We will be right back.
I shall see you when I return.
We're back. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Yes.
We're back from commercial. We're back from commercial. We're back from commercial. And Dan's got the punchline.
I had to
So stupid.
What was it?
Okay. All right. How's this for a second break fun 'em up?
Well, okay.
Second break fun 'em up.
Oh, okay. I was going to talk some about Colburn Stamets, but we can do that later.
That's later.
Oh, okay. Jeez.
I told you.
That was really assertive.
Well, because I told you before the end of the break, I said we're going to talk about the heists.
All right.
Not specifically this heist. I want to talk about Star Trek heists, the concept of heists, heist movies, because this is very clearly a heist plot, almost comically so.
Yeah, but like when I was saying it was more straightforward, is usually heist movies have a more individual people doing their own crazy thing. Like in Ocean's 11, it's like you have the acrobat, and then you have the guy who wheel and deals, and then you have the other person who has the guns. And this was basically, like I said, two teams.
We still got that.
This was as two teams. One is the hacker team, and one is the kick-ass team. So like the sneaky kick-ass team.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I agree. Yes, it's not the same as like Ocean's 11, for example.
Right.
But a heist. What does a heist plot usually entail? Right.
Getting some shit without people figuring it out till it's too late.
Don't know why you said it like that. What I have here, what I wrote here in my notes.
This is insane.
Is a team of people has to come up with a plan to steal something that is heavily guarded.
That's what I said, except I added that they can't be found out until it's too late.
And you did it in a weird, slightly southern accent.
No.
No.
I think in a true heist...
This is insane.
I think in a true heist story, the location of the object to be stolen is known, or at least perceived to be known, with certainty. So in other words, it's not like something where you're like, we're trying to find this thing. It's like, no, we know where the vault is. We know where the painting is or the diamonds or whatever. And that's true here as well in this episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
The plan will be intricate, perhaps overly so.
Mm-hmm.
Now, while I agree, yes, we don't have 13 people each with a hyper-specific set of skills, it is still a really intricate plan, which involves all sorts of shady stuff that could go wrong at any moment. And the other thing about the heist plots is universally, while executing the plan, the team will encounter unexpected challenges and will have to improvise in order to resolve the situation. And we definitely saw that here.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a common convention. You don't have to have this necessarily to be a heist plot.
No.
But it's a common convention.
Yeah, it helps.
As we mentioned before. I know, thank you. Thank you for being supportive. But it's normal for us to see components of a clean version of the plan being executed in these flash forwards or whatever you want to refer to those things where you see them doing the plan when they're still putting the plan together, when they're talking about the plan. And this episode did that. So
I let you get through that whole thing.
I haven't gotten through it yet.
Well, I got to let you get through most of it.
No, because you want to talk about like Culber, and I'm still talking about the
No.
stuff.
I'm not saying we're done with the subject altogether.
Okay.
What I'm saying is you just gave a thorough explanation, and I sat back and listened to you while you gave your very informative explanation.
All right.
So there. I'm just letting you know.
But I haven't gotten to my main point.
Well, I started talking at an appropriate break in your speaking.
Right. Okay.
So now it's time for you to speak again.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
What isn't a heist plot?
Uh-oh.
What is not a heist plot? So
I don't want to know.
I think, for example, like the Die Hard model, right, which we saw an example of in TNG. Because again, think of this. I'm thinking.
Die Hard is just escaping.
I'm trying to think of Star Trek type heists.
Die Hard is just trying to escape a building.
Yes, I know, but he's trying to stop the terrorists.
Stop terrorists too. But like
again, I'm trying to get to the point, which is Star Trek heists. I want to discuss Star Trek heists, and then we will.
Well, you just mentioned Die Hard, so I figured I'd comment on that.
Yeah. But look, TNG has the episode Starship Mine, which is where Picard is going to find his saddle for a hilarious reason.
Oh yeah,
and then he runs into the terrorists on the Enterprise, and that's a whole Die Hard plot.
But I'm gonna be fine
with Picard. But I'm suggesting that some people might put that into that category. No. That's not one that
I don't know
count.
such a person who would make such a mistake.
Well, another example that might come up is for example, there's the DS9 episode, The Sword of Kales, where a ragtag group of people come together to try to find the Sword of Kales, right?
It sounded like you said the sort of Kales.
The Sword of Kales. Yeah. The Sword of Kalesh. How's that? Kalesh.
100 bad guys with swords.
That episode for my money is more of a Treasure of the Sierra Madre type story where
that one.
Yeah, the Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Everybody's seen that movie.
Well, in that case, in the Sword of Kales, they don't know exactly where it is, right? So it's not a proper heist plot. And
it doesn't matter too late.
And in the end, they're going to find out that the thing they thought they wanted isn't what they thought. And so that's the lesson of that story is like, it's not exactly what we expected.
Like the monkey's paw.
Yes, like the monkey's paw or the Treasure of the Sierra Madre. So what are some examples of actual Star Trek heists? And this is where Dan and Jesse, I not only welcome, but encourage your input. If you have any thoughts on this, I do have
we're allowed to speak now, Jesse. Patrick said we can speak.
Almost.
Oh, almost, not quite. We're almost there.
Because I wanted to note a couple of examples that we can debate whether they count or not. I think, for my money, the Star Trek episode that is most heist-like, other than this episode that we just watched, is Bada Bing Bada Bang from Deep Space Nine's 7th season, which is the one where the computer program in Vic Fontaine's casino sort of goes crazy and some mob guys come and take over the casino. And they have to the whole crew has to get together to trick the mob and sort of beat the game and get Vic the casino.
Well, this brings it segues into another type of story, which would be Our Man Bashir, which is like some supervillain, supervillain.
Not
story.
a heist.
Not a heist.
Not a heist.
And not a Die Hard. Not a Die Hard.
Not a Die Hard. That's a spy
and not
one.
A monkey's paw.
Not a monkey's paw. What about I think stealing the Enterprise in Star Trek 3? That's got some of the heisty elements. Yeah. They know where it is. They have to have an intricate plan to do it. They split up into different teams. Remember how Uhura fucks up that dude?
Yeah.
She all yells. She sternly talks to him, and he all hides in the closet.
Yeah, he has to go in the closet.
And then Sulu has to kick the shit out of that tall dude. He was like, "Don't call me tiny."
I think there was a Picard episode that was a heist, wasn't there? Wasn't that the one where
are you talking about the ragtime jazz blues?
What was the one where
remember that Planet Jazz
City.
What was her name? Janetti?
Stardust City Rag.
What was her name? Janetti? Dr. Janetti or Dr.
Girardi?
Marty Janetti is a pro wrestler, Marty Janetti.
It was like a local baker, like Mr. Genetti.
Girardi, that's the one where she like starts
Agnes.
I remember, Patrick, you were complaining during that one because she started like she had a musical number in the middle of it.
Yeah,
And,
but
like,
you know what?
I think that was a heist one.
I hadn't thought of that. That's got some elements.
I think there was one I remember.
And her singing was an improvisation.
If you got
my complaint was why did the spotlight operator shine the light
right,
on?
Yeah,
on some,
that's right.
Some just random person who just started singing.
One way that you can tell it's probably a heist movie is if sort of non-government people are like talking into a secret microphone that's on their vest.
Yeah.
If they're government, then it's something else. That's like a spy movie. But if they're non-government,
that's a good thing to add to.
Yeah, they're communicating about the thing they're stealing. They're heisting.
Well, so stealing the Enterprise, Star Trek 3, pretty good. And also, I mean, probably one of the better scenes in all of Star Trek. That whole sequence of them stealing the Enterprise and the Excelsior coming after them is just fantastic. We did last summer, I think we discussed, we did a 2-part episode on Star Trek 3. Folks should go.
That's right.
Check that out. What about stealing Picard from the Borg in Best of Both Worlds Part 2? Little bit heisty. Now it doesn't have as intricate of the plan because the plan was kind of like, let's just beam over there and and take him. They had to do some shenanigans in order to get around, the Borg and stuff like that.
A little bit.
The only other one I thought of was the Magnificent Ferengi.
Oh.
Remember when Moogie gets kidnapped by the Vorta?
Isn't that more like a Dirty Dozen?
That's more like a Magnificent Seven. Dirty Dozen.
Yeah, it's the Magnificent Ferengi is probably like named after the Magnificent Seven.
But it does have a little bit more of that vibe. But on the other hand, they're trying to get Moogie back. It's a very specific place they have to go to get her back. And they do pull together a ragtag team of Ferengi that each have, even more so than in this episode, Dan, they each have their own skill that they put to use, including the nefarious Ferengi. Remember, he's all nefarious.
Grand Nagus. Play ball.
Any other ideas? I mean, Dan, I think the Picard one was definitely a good pull because that it wasn't Stardust City Rag because that was a different episode. That was in season 1. You're talking about season 2.
You don't think TOS had any kind of like?
I looked through every episode of TOS.
Oh, really?
I looked through every episode of everything up to, I ran out of time when I got to Voyager. So it's possible, but I couldn't remember. Oh, I looked at Enterprise. There's nothing really qualifies in Enterprise. Voyager, off chance, maybe. But
they're probably having to steal some kind of thing in order to like get enough dilithium to go home.
No, I welcome audience input on that. Feedback at itsgotStarTrek.com.
Not feedback.
But yeah, TOS, I didn't see anything. Not really much in TNG except other than what we discussed already.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anything in Strange New Worlds. Lower Decks has a few things that are sort of heist-ish.
Right, yeah.
But it's quick, so I don't know if it's
when they went to that space station on Lower Decks, and there was that whole scene where they were like riding around in some like tank thing, and that they flew through the Vulcans. The Vulcans were like fascinating, and there wasn't that.
You called them Volks?
The Volks.
I said Vulcans. I meant to say Vulcans.
A horrific speciesist slur.
I did not mean to say. I don't think I said Volks. We can play back the tape.
You just said it now. Anyway,
that doesn't count.
No, the problem with the Lower Decks one is I don't think any of those were pre-planned.
Whoa.
Like the example you're giving about a Mariner, she was improvising on the go. It wasn't part of the plan that they were going to do this, that, and the other thing, right?
Not so dead after all.
Not so dead indeed.
There was the Lower Decks thing where they were all doing different bits of like this super mission where they went and they stole like that old Romulan ship. And
that's right. That was interesting.
Well,
it was
what about
a little heist, but that was more government entity heist.
What about when Picard had to wear the ninja suit? Was that more of a spy episode?
Well, yeah, and also they were getting intelligence. They weren't stealing like an object. And I think
that's the difference. If the government does it, it's spy intelligence stuff. But if non-government people do it, it's a heist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's plenty of things that as I was looking through TNG were close, like the Gambit stuff. But again, it's not a heist because they don't know where the thing is that they're looking for.
If it's a business, then it's corporate espionage.
Yeah. Espionage.
You sanction things.
Yes.
Sanctions. You ever read the Iger sanction? They had a movie with it with Clint
Did you
Eastwood.
ever watch the Ipcris file?
Wait. The Iger,
I always say sanction, smanction.
The Iger sanction.
He does always say that.
The Iger sanction was turned into a movie with Clint Eastwood. I recommend it.
Clint Eastwood.
I like in
crazy old Clint Eastwood.
in Back to the Future 3 when he goes back in time and he goes to the bar and they're all like, "What's your name?" He looks all serious and he's like, "Clint Eastwood." And they're all like, "What a chump." What kind of shoes are those? Nikkei.
I've been obsessed with like this one part in that show Family Matters. Remember Family Matters?
Yeah,
when Steve
What do you mean, do you remember Family Matters?
Well, I mean, maybe people like younger than us wouldn't remember it, so I'm asking rhetorically.
Did I do that?
Because I am asking rhetorically because they can't answer back. Anyway, what I'm saying is I'm obsessed with like when Steve Urkel got introduced, he's all looking at Carl, he goes like, "Hi, I'm Steve." And then like he's got this look on his face. It was like some
like,
great acting. It's some fantastic
He's
acting.
like, "I'm about to ruin your show."
I'm Steve. You have to find that scene. It's fantastic
You have
acting
to.
from Jaleel.
We're not going to find it. We're not going to link it in the show
find
notes.
it. I'm gonna find it. And I'm gonna play it on next episode from Jaleel White acting as Steve
All right.
Urkel.
That's great. So Dan's done a good marketing ploy. He's captured you for the next episode. At least one more episode.
It's what we like to call in the business a tease.
I like that the audience won't be coming to hear our thoughts on the series finale of Star Trek Discovery, but rather
we can just play I'm Steve like for an hour and a half straight.
Did I do that?
Got any cheese?
All right. Okay. Back to the old Star Trek-y business.
Star Trek-y business.
One last thing on the heist.
Oh my goodness.
I think one thing maybe part of what made me feel like Frakes and the writers and everyone was setting this heist thing up to be a comedy thing, at least briefly. It might be a residual effect of watching that episode of Rick and Morty. It's season 4, episode 3 of Rick and Morty called "One Crew Over the Crew Cruise Morty."
Yeah,
and it's the heist episode where they go to like a heist museum and there's all these different heist teams that are heisting, and then the
heisters get heisted.
Yeah, and it's so many layers deep, and it's just mocking the concept of how ridiculous the heist format is and how stupid it is.
It's funny that we think of like, oh yeah, we've got pretty much all the types of stories you can tell, but then you get these random things like heist movies. Is that like you think like stories? There's something
primordial,
primal,
primeval.
Not what's the word?
Preternatural?
No, it's not preternatural. Anyways, there's something foundational, fundamental about so many story types, you know. Yeah. But then heist movie it seems like an invention of something along the way. So it just makes me feel hope that there are more types of stories to tell. Of course there are, but we've been stuck in these set of stories we tell all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there is actually a classification scheme that you can look at. There's a few competing classification schemes, but if you look up story classification, you can get a whole list of everything from mythological sort of foundational tales to some more complex tales. But while a lot of those core foundational things do continue throughout our culture in whatever form that might take, there is always new stuff coming because there's new contexts to life. Right?
Imagine
new technologies, new social organizations create new stories.
I was just thinking about like the invention of the telephone probably drastically changed how like the simplicity with which stories could be told because you don't need to be in the same room.
Well, even a component. People often talk about how.
Or it can add to complexity because there's more that can happen.
Yeah, people talk about how when cell phones were invented, it took a while for writers to figure out how to work around that for suspense stories, for horror and suspense, because it's like everyone has a cell phone all the fucking time. And then when the smartphones came, it was even more so. It's like you never have to have people sitting around a room saying like, who was the actor in that movie? Because there's no reason not to just look it up.
And also with the invention of cell phones, they often used flip phones up until the smartphone because they didn't have a replacement for that chunk sound when you hang up a phone. So they'd have the flip phone that go, but then now nobody has those, so they had to finally go to smartphones so they at least make a beep noise.
Meekly hang up on somebody.
And now they have the thing where they put the text on the screen that you read along with it, which is another dimension.
But new forms of social organization, new just things that happen in history.
I want to invent a new story type.
These will influence, and if not, maybe not create
a new stereotype
out of whole cloth, but certainly create new variations that can be very, very distant from their progenitors. Ha! I mentioned progenitors.
Progenitals.
Whoa,
gross.
Jesse. Jesse.
I'm so gross.
Jesse's
all the
working
time.
blue tonight.
Boogers.
Oh man.
Jesse's so blue.
Boogers.
He's a mega blue boy. All right. Anyway,
What are we looking at?
that's all the heist business that I wanted to get through. Dan, you said something about Culber.
Well, briefly, Culber. This is actually not really doesn't.
Is this a duty or no duty?
This is no. I do have some of those duties though.
Oh, excellent.
This is actually doesn't warrant its own section, but it was just it was a side comment that like.
Is this one of those things that would be better if Jesse and I were talking about something and you just sort of mumbled in the background while we were talking about it?
I think you can figure out the answer to that on your own.
Dan is indicating to me that is not a viable plan.
Red alert! Red alert! Red alert!
Dan's got some sharp eyeballs. He's got some sharp eyeballs on
There's a
that.
frosty look.
All right.
Well, how about instead we play?
I know. I thought you were going to talk about Culber and
It was just
and
such
Stamets being cute.
It was just a small point. All I was going to say is that it was interesting, the whole relationship between Culber, Stamets, and Adira, because when Adira was leaving, Stamets was, supportive,
Yes.
but he was like all super worried and nervous.
Parent style.
And
yeah.
Culber, though, he was super supportive, and on the inside, he probably was worried, but he had to be there for Stamets and give him support.
It was.
Yeah, he already has to keep that guy under control.
But yeah.
It was a really sweet and very realistic portrayal of effectively parents, right? They are parental, certainly mentor figures, but they've taken on a parental role for Adira. And it was...
How old is Adira supposed to be?
Well, they were 16 when they came on the show, I think.
Right,
so
yeah.
they must be, I don't know, 17, 18, something like that.
Okay.
So they're very young still. But it was just a very realistic, nice portrayal. And it's something that sometimes Discovery didn't have time for some of these character moments, and I think as the seasons had gone on, they got a lot better at doing more, making more time for these important things.
And later on, it kind of flipped a little bit because later Stamets had to calculate how to bash into the Breen ship without blowing up, and Culber was all worried and shit about it, and then Stamets had to console Culber in a way.
Math doesn't lie.
Math doesn't lie.
Yeah, which is a great statement. But you could tell how confident, Culber was worried this time. Stamets was all confident. He's like, no, it's cool. So they have a good give and take. See, they have a healthy relationship, unlike Maul and Locke, who at first I was like, Locke likes her more than she likes him. He's got an unhealthy attraction. He's like, I'd rather die than be with her. But then in this episode, she says something effectively the same.
Sorry, minor correction. He didn't say, I'd rather die than be with her. I know what you meant.
What did he did say something about dying.
No, he said, I'd rather die than not be with her.
Oh, okay.
Just to clarify.
Okay, fair enough.
Because it'd be hilarious if the whole season started. I was like, man, I can't stand this crazy woman. I would rather die than be with her.
That's why he gave himself too much medicine.
Yeah. He did it on purpose.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not going to like it. I am.
This time she goes, if I can't bring Locke back, I might as well be dead. So there's some serious codependency going on that's not healthy.
This is Bonnie and Clyde, classic Bonnie and Clyde
Culber and
style.
Stamets, tip top. They got a good thing going. They complement each other.
And do you recognize the other there's one other highly functioning example of a highly functioning relationship, and there's a second example or a third or whatever number in the list we are of moving in the direction of being a more healthy relationship. Which two relationships do you think I am referring to?
There's two more relationships you're talking
there's Saru and the Vulcan.
That's right.
Yeah.
Saru and his...
I would say maybe that's the latter.
No, that's the former.
That's the
because
former?
They have that conversation about how they can't let their relationship take precedence over the things that they find important.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So they're both nervous. They don't want to lose each other. Saru doesn't want to go die, but he's like,
but he's really stepping up though.
Well, he's also like, the reason you love me and the reason I love you is because we're not pieces of shit. We're going to do what we need to do, right?
Not pieces of shit.
I mean, he phrased it slightly differently, but that's what he said.
He said,
right.
I think he said pieces of shit.
You think so? Do you have that recorded? It seems like the kind of thing you would have...
He's like, neither one of us is a human.
I don't. I just have Rainer.
Shit.
I just have Rainer saying that.
Shit.
But what I was referring to
until he's saying,
"Oh, holy schnoodle."
No, the other relationship I was referring to was Burnham and
I was thinking you were talking. I was thinking Burnham and Book.
Yeah,
I didn't realize. I couldn't tell if you were talking about two relationships or not, and you were. I was going to say Burnham and Book and you saw Burnham look at Book, and they all looked at each other and had that moment of like, oh.
Well, the thing is Burnham and Book is you were talking about an example of a really healthy relationship, and I think Tarina and Saru are the other example of an already really healthy relationship. However, Burnham and Book, they're on the way to becoming because they're not there yet.
There's still some unspoken shit going on.
They've put down everything they need to put down now of this episode to like get them to where they need to be next.
I'd say they're one step beyond will they, won't they?
One step beyond.
I'd say they're one step beyond.
You like that song?
Doesn't mean I don't want to say what I need to say.
All right. That's you make an excellent point, and I agree with you. Madness.
Remember back when I let you, then you talked, that gave that great explanation about heists. Remember that?
I can't.
And I pointed it out earlier. Remember that?
You pointed it out.
Yeah, because like you had something to say, and then I was like, oh, cool. Say what you need to say, Patrick. This is how it works when people listen to us.
I got something to say.
They want people to give complete thoughts.
It's better burn out than to fade away.
Doesn't matter too late. 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 Doesn't matter too late.
Yeah, but it's not enough alone. Yeah, to gain access to the progenitor's technology. Access to the progenitor's technology. But it's not enough alone. It's not enough alone. It's not enough alone. It's not enough alone.
I'm digging it.
Yeah, but it's not enough alone to gain access to the progenitor's technology.
One step beyond. What was it? One step
Maul
beyond.
has
what?
a key.
Yeah.
Maul has a key.
Yeah.
Maul has a key.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maul has a key.
Yeah.
Maul has a key.
Forgot.
Yeah.
I have
to gain access to the progenitor's technology.
I have another edition of the Maul's hole situation, but we can
But it's
save
not
that.
enough alone. It's not enough
We
alone.
can save that because you were making a point about something being one step beyond something.
All I was saying was Burnham and Book were one step beyond will they, won't they, but they're not quite all the way to established they will.
They got one episode left. But they've done everything they need to do to realistically have them be at the end of next
Are they going to
episode
kill
being
anybody?
alive.
Who are they going to kill? They're going to kill someone probably.
What, do you mean the producers, or do you mean Burnham and Book? It sounded like they're...
No, not that. No, the producers. You think Saru's going to die? No, probably not.
No,
I hope Saru doesn't die.
I don't think so.
Because he's making this big, like, brave moment of like presenting himself to like save it. But I hope he doesn't die. That would be lame.
No. I think they've already done the work. Like the conversation that he and Trina had in this episode would be undermined if he ended up dead.
Maybe Rayner will die because like in Picard they killed what was that dude's name? I can't even remember his name now. In Picard,
Captain Shaw.
Oh, that was a spoiler. Damn it! I gave the spoiler alert too late.
Well, they should have seen this already.
I hate when people say
that guy.
I hate when people say spoiler alert after the spoiler, and that's exactly what I just did.
Yeah. Well,
and they say it all mocking. They're like, spoiler alert.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't like spoiling stuff if possible. On the other hand, it's like some of the I don't know. It's the stuff it's like the TV shows like was that last year.
I'm not joking, Lee.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
So,
Who do you think they're going to kill somebody? I don't think so. I don't. No. Look, yes. Will somebody die? Probably, but I don't know exactly.
Somebody's gonna die.
I don't think, and I certainly hope it's not going to be like Burnham or Saru or something. I think it sucks when you make the mistake that they made in Enterprise, for example. And I won't spoil who. But you all know when they killed somebody that didn't make any sense for them to kill, and it didn't actually add any drama to anything. It was forced bullshit drama in the very last episode.
It was supposed to be drama after you were done watching the show. It's like so I can think about it and be sad later on.
And then it didn't even make sense in the context of the show because in the timeline of that particular episode of that final episode, like 3 days after the person they love so much dies, everyone's just sitting around like joking and hooting and hollering and having a good time. It's like, come on, ridiculous. So yeah, I hope they don't drop the ball here. Now the way this season has been going, it's been just so nicely put together overall. We've had some quibbles here and there, but I don't think they're gonna like shove our face into like, here's a fucking shitty tragedy, your life sucks, everything, the world is shitty. I think the message is gonna be quite the opposite. I think it's going to be about a rebirth. It's going to be about the importance of coming together and all that other jive stuff.
If there's something the interesting thing that I think is possible that might happen is Maul will somehow turn like and see the ways of good or something like that. Yeah. And it'll probably come, and maybe it'll come from her trying to bring Locke back, and he consoles her, and then suddenly she'll. I don't know. I don't know that. She'll probably get away or something, but she'll probably be in a position.
She gets away from every other fucking person in the universe.
Well, like they'll get
she always escapes.
She'll like probably end up handing the thing back, or like she'll get away, but they know she's leaving in a way that means she's going to be good from here on out, and it'll because she tried to bring Locke back. By the way, there was one part in the episode where she was talking about we'll throw you in the brig, and she goes, good talk. Throw them in the brig. We'll drop you off somewhere once we're in the clear. So they were saying that to, I guess, Book and Burnham and them, which is actually, that's pretty nice of her. She was like, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to put you in the brig and let you go. Instead of, she could have just killed him. So she's already like exhibiting signs that she's not like a murderous, like horrible person, right? Yeah. So I think in the end, somehow there's going to be some reconciliation where she ends up not being so bad, and then she probably either dies or gets away, but she probably won't join their side because like she's done too much bullshit. But it'll probably have to do with him trying to bring Locke back somehow. So that's what I say.
That's what you say, Dan.
That's what I say.
could see stuff like that. Could be a possibility.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying all along.
Maybe.
That's what I've been saying all along. The whole time.
But maybe she just gets arrested.
The thing.
Yeah, that's very possible. She'll get arrested, but she'll express some kind of. There'll be some hopeful message in her newfound attitude.
All right, now I think
maybe not.
No.
I think this is a good opportunity to take a very brief break.
What?
Because then that way we can return.
What?
And we can conclude our discussion of the penultimate episode of Star Trek Discovery's 5th and final season, Lagrange Point. You're going to click a button?
Shit.
Be right back. All right, we're back. Hello.
We're back.
Hi there.
I have some moments of lore, unless there's something else we wanted to talk about.
Moments of lore.
Moments of lore.
What about Data?
Nope, not him. Elpanah had flowers that are good luck for impending nuptials.
Yeah.
Did we already know that
planet? He went to some planet that had some flowers that look like
right.
regular old flowers, but
they're good luck for.
But I guess they're
nuptials.
alien flowers.
Alien flowers to the max. I don't know if this is new or if this is established, but apparently duranium alloy is impenetrable to scans, even in the 30-second scans.
I think that's established.
It seems like it would be.
That's old school.
A lot of interference on Mars. That's how Adira found out. Adira didn't find out, but like became most familiar with transpo locks.
Yeah, they were like, that's how we know about that.
Yeah.
Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. What are you even worried about?
This one I like. Breen programming code is in base duodeca.
Yes,
yeah,
base duodeca.
They mentioned that last week.
And Adira is a fucking mega genius because
they're great.
They can like program in that no problem.
Yeah, well, it was the same thing last week. Wasn't it last week when Adira had to hack into it was that beat? Yeah, remember that tunneling thing into the library? They were like figuring out how to deal with that tunneling thing.
Adira oblongata.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see.
How about this for? I don't know if this counts as lore, but like they have the.
Maybe it counts as data.
I resisted making that joke like 2 minutes ago.
I made that joke because Jesse made that joke.
Okay,
it was a callback to that.
It was funnier when I said it.
Oh, call and response. So on Strange New Worlds, of course, we had an instance where somebody used a transporter buffer to keep somebody alive forever. Yes. Mm-hmm. In this case, we see that Maul has acquired a portable transport buffer, and she's beamed Locke's body into it to keep it suspended in there.
Clever.
To keep it from rotting away. Now, I understand how things work, timing in TV shows and all that other stuff. Maybe she should have done this a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, one might think. Because she was also worried, like, I got to get to him before he, like, rots and stinks and shit. Yeah. So, like, makes me wonder, like, if you put him in the pattern buffer when they're all rotting away, does that mean they come back as zombie people?
It's like, I know
maybe he doesn't.
She didn't get.
Maybe he's a slow rotter.
How does putting him in the pattern buffer? Oh yeah, they put it back because the progenitor tech. Yeah, so if you give some progenitor tech while they're rotted away, do they come back as a zombie?
Don't know. Well, who knows? That's the thing is we don't know.
Yeah,
it's like a monkey.
He's gonna eat
Maybe
brains,
we'll find out.
This is like a monkey's paw.
However, my question is not
because
about
you
that.
wish for something and you get it, but it's terrible.
My question is not about that specifically. I understand. Okay, we have pre-existing examples of using the transporter buffer, like Scotty in Relics, in TNG's Relics.
With an X.
No, it's not.
Rel-X.
No.
Relics.
No. Stop saying
like
that.
Rel-X.
Skrillex. Rel-X.
Don't say that yet. No. My question is not about the existence of the transporter buffer. That's all fine. I'm just wondering And please forgive me if I'm being presumptuous here, because I don't live in the 32nd century and I'm not familiar with the technology or the, styles, fabric, all that other stuff.
You don't, and you're not.
But what I'm not sure about, I'm not sure if it's wise.
And start firing with everything we've got.
I think that if I have the transporter buffer that's suspending the body of my recently deceased boyfriend.
Bummer.
I think there might be a safer spot to put it
in the middle of the big room.
Then my fucking sleeve. She
the
just sticks it onto her sleeve.
She does.
Like on her wrist.
I thought you meant his body's like sitting in the middle of this.
No,
big,
that's fine. It's like whatever. They were just doing a funeral the previous episode. Okay, whatever. But yeah, she's just like, okay, I have to protect your body because my entire life right now is about obtaining miraculous alien technology to utilize to bring you back to life, bring your corpse back to life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put your corpse in this little tiny dangly little piece of plastic.
It's like a magnet or something.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick it to my... It's like Velcro or something.
Yeah.
She's always fighting. She's always getting into fights. She doesn't think it's going to get knocked off. In a tumble?
She needs a
tussle?
In a roll. She needs to get a safety deposit box.
Failure. Not an option.
All right.
I think that was a callback to his love of Earthling phraseology.
Yes.
But
good call.
Yeah.
Good call, yes.
I don't know. It was kind of
Earthling phraseology.
Earthling phraseology.
Let's do an album called Earthling Phraseology.
What will we put on there?
Music.
About phrases?
Human music.
Will there be human jokes? I want to tell human jokes. Music. Human humor. Human comedy.
How would you know what that is?
I also thought it was interesting that they kept they even said that we have to throw a real person in the portal for some reason, which I didn't understand why they couldn't just at least test it with a rock first, tether a rock in there first and then try to pull it out.
Although
I guess they just didn't show that part. But then
the first guy wasn't tethered, which is a good point that they didn't because they did the whole Stranger Things thing. And I know Stranger Things is not the first to do it, but in Stranger Things is the whole there's a portal. Let's put a guy in a suit and have a big cable on him. And then the cable always runs out and then rips off the wall.
I think they did that in Poltergeist as well.
Yes, you're right.
Didn't the Soviets do that for years, with stuff?
Are you talking about in Stranger Things or in real life?
In real life.
Put people into portals and stuff. Well, they do have those mines. The Soviets got pretty deep in some of their mines.
Their mine.
Yeah.
They were talking about...
And they call it a mine.
They were talking about... They said the only way they can get reliable data is by sending someone inside. Fine, okay, but like I said, they should have tried on something small first before they just threw an untethered person in there. But then Maul says, choose your most trusted soldier. Now, I would say you'd want to do the opposite. Yeah. You throw in your most pawnee, throwaway kind of soldier.
Except if there's something cool on the other side.
Yeah, but it's but they haven't established that they can even get to the other side yet.
I disagree with you.
Once they establish that they can get to the other side, then send your trusted soldier.
No, I disagree in this case.
Why would you put a risk of a good soldier for no reason?
Look, I think your advice is correct in your workaday.
My workaday.
In your workaday.
My simple-minded
sci-fi plot
My
line.
simple-minded workaday.
No, it has nothing to do with simple-minded. I'm saying if you're on as a regular
cryptic
one-off episode, yes, of course you wouldn't send in your best and brightest necessarily. That's not the situation that Maul finds herself in. Maul finds herself only recently and tentatively holding on, achieving control over an entire Breen family, right? So that's point number one. Second, she's got a hold of this technology that maybe will bring her boyfriend back to life, that's the main thing she wants, okay? And so she also doesn't want somebody to go in there, and she doesn't know what this thing is, right? So what if you go in there, and the first person who goes in there, they're like, oh, hey, welcome. Here you go. You're now the person in charge of this and you can do whatever you want. If you sent in some chump or some shady dude that you just didn't like, then you're potentially giving that person universal power, as opposed to putting in a quote unquote loyal soldier who will be less likely to be corrupted by the granting of the power.
Yes, but you don't want to send in a trusted soldier before you establish that you can bring them back.
No, but in the context of you not knowing whether or not they can come back, you would still send in the trusted soldier. You'd be more likely to.
You'd test for something that could be brought back first, then you'd send in your trusted soldier.
I think testing is good. I'm not sending in some low rent chode is what I'm saying. I'm not sending in an untrustworthy fool who can take my technology away from me.
Take your technology.
Yeah, I want the
technology. I don't need you or your federation.
Now with regard to that whole scene, I really did enjoy this end scene. and you alluded to it earlier, Dan, with the whole smashing into the thing.
I thought it was fun. It was crazy, but it was fun.
And they had to do some improvising, and Adira was doing the hacking business, and Commander Reese was doing the kicking ass business.
There should be a name for this type of shot, and there probably is. But it's like an Iron Man when you have like the shot of someone's face inside a thing, and they're making facial. Like when Reese jumped in to do the fight scene, which was a pretty cool fight. He did like a front kick, and then he did like a backing spin kick, and then he did some kind of punch to the helmet, which was weird. Almost looked like he tried to cup his ears.
Was good,
but then he made a scrunchy face while he's doing it, and then Adira reacted with like a, and it was like the shot of their face, and then you cut to like the bodies.
Let's talk about the face shots and other stuff, other Jonathan Frakes direction stuff. There's a lot to talk about Jonathan Frakes' direction in
what
this
about
episode.
the opening shot where it was a Spyro?
Yes, let's talk about it in a second. Let's finish up this bit
made
first,
me dizzy.
because then we'll talk about all the direction
Made me
stuff
dizzy.
at once, okay?
Dizzy?
Dizzy.
Okay. Anyway, hacking. I'm trying to get to the hacking stuff because I'm never a fan of this speed hacking shit. I think it's tired. It was tired when it was first invented. It's not just Star Trek that does this. It's old school. It's been around for a while. It's like, we're going to break into security by just hacking into something. And it's a shortcut. I know. I accept it. It doesn't make me mad. But it's like, it gets almost boring after a certain point. It's like, okay, because there's no suspense. Because we know Adira is going to hack into the thing. And that goes to the one problem I have with the whole Adira plotline. Is that the plot line is all about Adira figuring out that they are good enough to be like on the bridge or whatever. The problem is that we as the audience already know that, right? We know that Adira is awesome. They're really talented, a great crew member.
Yeah,
loyal,
but they need the confidence is what the issue is.
I know. It's just sort of boring to watch because it's like, it puts us as the audience in the position of like, you come on, you can do it. And it's like, okay, but we know, I don't know. I find it a little bit, I get what they're doing, and I'm glad they're giving space to having more Adira on screen. I don't think it's that much character growth though, because
no, not really.
They were already involved in so many things and have already, over the last 3 seasons, have already helped solve so many problems.
I mean, in action, I guess you could say the actions they're taking are evolving because it's like, okay, now they're on the bridge, now they're on a mission. So
absolutely,
in that sense.
But it's very like, I don't know. To me, I'm like, I'm watching somebody who's demonstrably awesome, but now it's like, will they realize they're awesome? Okay, I get it. That's not like it's also, maybe part of it is because that's not a new storyline either. And I don't know. It's a very, very minor critique because I do enjoy, I'm glad that we're getting to see more Adira on the screen because they've been a little bit light in this season leading up to this. There's been bits and pieces, and now finally there's like a really cool thing that they get to do. So that's awesome. I am into that, but I guess partly combined with the whole like, okay, it's all right, you're just hacking into the system.
I wonder if they were able to, their universal translator could translate what they look at, because there was something weird. I thought is that they were talking about how their suits have a translator built in, so they weren't going based off the universal translator rules. They had their own translator. And did you notice that when they went up to the Breen, like they didn't understand the Breen at first? They were like, wait until the suit figures out what they're saying. Right. Like they're acknowledging the speech, the sort of the different the delta in the speech patterns. And so normally that's just a given in Star Trek and they don't talk about it, but they talked about it in this episode, but they presented it in a way that's inconsistent because it was part of the plot that they had to wait for their suits to be able to decipher what they were saying. So I maybe missed something, but like I didn't understand why they suddenly focused on the fact that like they won't understand their language right away.
I agree. I found it a little confusing, partly because Breen were understandable in 24th century Star Trek.
Yeah.
I would find it, even if they weren't, I would find it improbable that in the 32nd century that they wouldn't have, like the Breen are an important group. Like they're a power in the region. Well, why would people not be able to understand them?
Yeah.
And not have it all built into the normal, I understand, so, like, oh yes, some cultures are stranger than others and more isolated, but I don't know. I just didn't buy that.
And so I was wondering if maybe they didn't talk about it, so probably not, but like how do you hack into a computer when you can't really read the language? I guess they've studied it, but I don't know. It kind of seems like a lot to sort of be able to pull off.
Yeah,
like
it's magic.
It is kind of magic.
And this is, again, nothing new to Star Trek, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm. I had a couple more lore things.
Yes.
The Breen culture, apparently it's rigidly hierarchical.
Yeah.
It's at least 3,000 degrees Kelvin around the Breen dreadnought exhaust port. That's some information.
Right, yeah.
And this is a good one.
Soccerus is a Breen feast day.
Much like
a tearcoon is a sacred Breen oath.
And not unlike how
An Araga is a blood bounty.
So I was wrong before. I think I said Aragard was a blood oath, but it's a blood bounty. But like in a previous episode we had, I was like, Aragars are blood oaths and they're blood bounties. I was wrong.
Okay, so they were another part of the whole heist thing is that this was a classic. They're wearing outfits. They're in disguise. And they run into like local guards and they have to bluff their way out of it.
Right.
I like all that. All that stuff with we don't understand each other. It turns out that was a little, it was unnecessary because once they got past all that, it was great. They did the whole Spaceballs thing, right? They did a total Spaceballs where it was like you hit the guys on the head and use their badge to get in, and they do that weird crouch. Did you see that weird like Breen crouch? Yeah. which again, it was comical, and it was like they clearly did that on purpose.
Right here, it was saying in italic text, so I think this is the part where like Burnham was narrating. It said, scans of soldiers from the archive will let us replicate Breen suits. We'll just need to add translation tech.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know why they would need to do that.
Especially since it seems that it works for the other people. Those Breen aren't talking in English when Maul is all like, speak in my language. They're just switching their translators. Like, what?
Yeah, right.
The Breen did not all learn Federation standard.
No, apparently, I know. That was kind of confusing too.
Why would you do that when you have translators?
I was thinking about closed captioning and thus like scripts that you read based off closed captioning. You lose out because if you read the closed captioning script, you don't get to see what it is the Breen were actually saying. You see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Because the Breen, they're just walking around going like,
if you knew how to understand the Breen.
Huh?
If you knew how to understand the Breen.
You just keep playing that and you're like,
what was that? That was a long sound. What was that, Jesse?
If you knew how to understand the Breen.
If I did, but I don't. And so normally when you watch it, it shows the translation on screen, but it doesn't show it on closed captioning. So if you read the closed captioning, you miss that whole plot portion of where the Breen are talking with each other. That was a side note to something else. What were we just talking about? We're talking something about Breen stuff.
What you're talking about Breen.
We weren't talking about Book flirting with the Breen and getting invited to the oil room.
Oh yeah,
or whatever they called it.
I shall prepare a space for you in the oil.
That was supposed to be.
What did it say? Oil room or oil rock?
I shall prepare a space for you in the oil.
It's an oil bath.
Oil bath.
Oh, as Burnham says.
Are you sure you don't want me to slow down? Try to get you that oil bath.
Yeah.
Are you sure you don't want me to slow down? Try to get you that oil bath.
Oh, here, this is a good opportunity to bring up this business. There was another Mall's Hole incident.
There was a Mall's Hole. There was the oil bath because they're Breen. That implies that they're like robots and they need to take baths in oil.
They're liquid. They like floating around.
Oh, they're liquid. I keep forgetting
they're
that
robots.
Well, they have to remember they have two faces. They have their liquid face and they have their practical effects makeup face.
You've got two faces.
And then they have the mask face.
Okay, real quick. Mall's
I thought
Hole.
they were gaseous.
Mall's Hole. This was something initiated by longtime listener Fraser, who played a tape to us, a clip. Turned out it was from our show, and we didn't recognize it at first, but this is what it was. Yes, it was Mall's Hole. It was Mall's Hole. It was me saying Mall's Hole, and that was weird because that's not the kind of thing I normally would say. But it turns out what it was I was saying, presumably Mall's Hole thinking is that she can get rid of this bounty on their head by giving them the ultimate power. Now, we discussed that.
Whoa, was that you talking or was that the computer talking?
That was the computer.
That was really confusing.
Computer version of me talking. Now, that was that we discussed this last week.
You should next week. You should like alternate between talking and then recordings of yourself and see if if we catch up. If we catch on with what's going on.
But this week, so last week we had the discussion. The previous week, Fraser had sent in the audio clip that we had to. There was a whole mystery behind it, and then last week we solved that mystery with the help of Fraser. And but this week, when I turn on this episode, almost right at the beginning, right after the credits, like the first line after the fucking credits.
Mall's Hole.
Oh man, Mall's Hole.
Mall's Hole.
Do you know what she's saying?
Mazel tov?
No, listen.
Mall's Hole.
Whole reason for something is something.
Okay, we know that Mall's holding the structure inside the Breen shuttle bay.
Tricked
my guess is it won't take her long to open it.
Mall's holding. You did it.
Okay, we know that Mall's holding the structure inside the Breen shuttle bay, and my guess is it won't take her long to open it.
You pulled the old trickaroo.
Mall's hold.
Maul's hole.
Anyway, we are not misogynistic or awful people.
No.
Maul's hole was
hole.
a funny clip, and that was something that popped out at us this week.
There was a couple. There was two "That's an Order" moments.
Oh no! That Dan took a deep breath. That's some serious shit. Dan, we've only got 10 minutes left.
Okay.
So.
Here we go.
That's a really fucking deep breath.
We still got to do duty or no duty.
Begin preparations.
That's serious. All right.
So, talking to the Reese and Dira talking to the low-ranking Breen in order to hack the mainframe. Breen Reese says, there's a malfunction at your station to the low-ranking person. And he goes, you must vacate it while we fix it. And then there's a pause, and Breen Adira is going, that's an order. Now, shrug is what I say. Shrug, because
can you explain to the audience real quick why this is what you're even bringing up?
Oh, so from what I feel can be an overused phrase in many TVs and movies that involves some sort of like chain of command, military kind of.
You have an immediate. Your ears perk up. And the hairs on the back of your neck stick up if somebody in a television program says that's an order.
Well, you asked me to explain,
and then I know, but I'm sort of reiterating that. Okay, this is a conversation.
Well, I was in the, it is, but I was still in the middle of finishing my explanation.
All right.
But anyways, it's fine. So yeah, right. So when people say that's an order, like I'm just like I think like can't you just think of another way to word that? It's
and then you sometimes it's okay and sometimes it's not so okay.
This one I sort of shrug, and the reason I shrug it is because Adira's new. Been hearing everyone else do it. I'm cool with Adira doing it because they've been hearing other people doing it, and it's like
Adira do,
and it's still.
What's the other one?
And it still served a function to get rid of the other Breen, but I still don't like it, and it's not great because like at its heart of it, it's still just like it was effective, but I guess in
this case it was meant to be sort of comical too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was because you could see that they were nervous
which is a different
it's a different vibe. That's what I was saying. They were trying to like, step into the shoes of something that they didn't feel completely confident with being. Okay, here's the next one.
The next one. That's an order.
This is actually a little bit they say something slightly different, but a
little bit different. But that's now I remember.
Yeah.
In the subtitle it said
that's an order.
It was actually you have your orders.
You have your orders. Yes, I'm a Breen.
It's not that's an order. So it's fine, but it's a little too close for comfort. But I think it's still in the same spirit of that's an order, but they're at least trying to like mix it up a little bit. Yeah. So
there's a nuanced difference. The that's an order. There's almost a desperation. There's an assertion of authority. An assertion of authority. They may in fact be already undermined by the need to assert the authority. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas you have your orders. It's a slight difference, but I think it's a meaningful difference where it's like, fuck you, man. You've got your orders.
Yeah.
That's the situation. It's almost dismissive. Mm-hmm. It's not like, hey, I'm telling you to do this. It's like, fucking know what you gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
Do it or don't do it. I don't fucking care.
Oh,
piece of shit.
Fuck you, man. They were talking about Osakad. That was
oscillated. How do you
Osakad? There are lots a lot.
Yeah. How do you tiddle it in Ocelot? Look it up, kids. Look up the punchline. Online.
I haven't gotten a chance to give my grum of Osakad, as the saying goes.
That was a reference back to episode 5, Mirrors, when they were talking about the book of Krull or whatever in the cover.
That's right. Yes, it was the Book of Krull.
I think it was Krull. Actually,
it was the Book of Krull.
It was.
It was.
That I remember because I made a joke about the movie Krull the Conqueror. You're saying it in that way where like I'm saying something ridiculous. It's not me who's saying something ridiculous. It's them who said the ridiculous thing, not me. I'm agreeing. What are you talking? I'm agreeing with you, Dan. What are you freaking out about? I don't understand why you're bumming because I agree with everything you say.
Are you okay, dude?
No. We gave him a little too much fishing line today, Jesse.
Fishing line?
Yeah, you went far out. We're going to reel you back in.
As they say in the Ballad of Krull. Okay, it wasn't the Book of Krull, it was the Ballad of Krull. Oh, wow, it's so different.
No, I totally agreed with you.
Oh, my God, you're doing it again.
I'm not doing nothing.
But that's how they knew that they're talking to each other.
They did the Kirk Spock Star Trek 2 code.
It was like the thing where like they did the thing where it looked like Burnham was talking to Maul, but she knew that she was really talking to
It's the
Ranger.
Kirk Spock Star Trek 2 code.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was into it in a big way.
Yeah. I was into Captain Reese. I mean, I know he's Commander Reese, but in my mind, everyone's like, we want Star Trek Legacy. It's like, no, that's fine. Yeah, I'd like that too. But what I really want, fuck Star Trek Legacy, I want Star Trek Commander Reese, or Captain Reese, actually. I want them to give him a ship. He can have a cool ship and he can fly around and he'd be all like, kick some ass every now and then.
Bridge, bro.
Shields ready to drop, Captain.
Power of creation. Thought it'd be bigger.
Commander Reese should be Captain Reese.
Damn right. All right.
I have a couple. I want to play Duty or No Duty right quick.
All right. Duty and No Duty.
Okay. This is an episode of Duty or No Duty where you have to decide if what they're saying is duty or what they're saying is no duty.
Okay.
Number 1.
You're on distraction duty.
What?
I vote for neither. I vote for Dewey.
Wait a second. Let's play it one more time.
You're on distraction duty.
What?
It does kind of sound like Dewey, doesn't it?
It sounds more like
But you got to pick one or the other.
Dewey. Well, probably it's a duty then.
Jesse, do you want to hear it again?
There's no T.
I'm gonna go with duty. Yeah.
There's no T at all.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely Duty. Okay, here's the other one.
Vulcans are not the only species capable of choosing logic and duty over emotion.
What do you think? What do you think, Dan?
Well, you got to play. This is democracy here. We have to. Wait. This is a scientific method.
You got to play. It's a democracy. You have to play.
No duty.
In our democracy, you have no fucking choice, but you got to play the game.
No, see, here's the thing. It's like science where something may seem obvious, but until you put it to the test, you cannot say it's true.
No duty.
So, and you said no duty. What you meant to say was no duty.
Yeah, but that's what it is, because when somebody says duty, you say that's the
You say it's no duty, but you said
Right.
you said no duty.
Yes.
You use the word.
It's the same answer.
You no, it's not, because
it's duty or no duty.
You use no duty to say no duty. It's a double negative, which makes it a duty. You said no duty.
What?
You said no duty.
What?
You said
no duty.
I didn't say no duty.
Because you said no, and then you said duty with a T, which is no duty. And so when you said no duty, when you said no duty, listen, since duty is equal to no duty, when you say no duty, what you're actually saying is no duty. What you meant to say was no duty.
I got it.
Jesse's got it.
I also say no duty, so we're in agreement. Unanimous decision.
Couple things before we close things down.
They smell blood in the water.
Yeah. Okay. So
She's dead.
At the end of all of this, very enjoyable episode. It was a bog standard heist story, but it was a very well executed bog standard heist story. I thought there was character development, there was plot development. Yeah, there was some extraneous stuff, there was extraneous action stuff, but it was well done, well performed, well crafted.
We never talked about the shots.
No, we're about to talk about the shots. So yes, this was directed by Jonathan Frakes. He's a great director. He always does a great job. I kind of get the impression this episode that at least for parts of it, he was like, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah. Like I was saying, the very first shot was like
just spinny.
It's like Spyro Cam made me fucking dizzy like looking at it. It was
He also did the I Captain 3-part, like remember you were talking about, this is what I was getting at before, or I didn't want to get at yet. I wanted to say
Captain.
Yes, when all three of them, it's just all of a sudden it's like 3 squares in the screen,
right?
Which is weird. It's just not you just don't see a lot on Star Trek. The sticking the key into the hull. That was a weird shot because
that was a goofy shot.
It was almost like again,
it almost looked animated or something, like some old, like one of those early '80s like Hobbit animation things where they're moving all weird. And
you lost me there, but
or Wizards, or did you ever see Heavy Metal or one of those things where they're all animated all weird?
To me, it was evocative of like the again, not to reference Baseballs again, but but
I'm going to.
But yes, I'm going to, because it was when the escape pods are leaving. Something about it was just like it was a really weird this episode. Jonathan Frakes had a lot of super symmetrical shots, like hilariously symmetrical. I liked it, but some of it was like throwing me off because it was not very Star Trek-y. It was very different, and not just for Star Trek, for Discovery, it was very different. They were even the flash forwards, the whole heist, thing. That was something we don't usually see in Star Trek, and the way it was directed again almost seemed a little bit comical, but definitely following that vibe of those heist movie things. And then I did really want to call attention to that, the whole Iron Man shots between Burnham and Book when they're having that conversation.
Yeah, and then like I said, with Reese and Adira, Reese was all giving a scrunch face when he started kicking some ass, and then Adira, they all gave some kind of reaction, like, whoa, I'm surprised.
Yeah, but with the Burnham and Book thing, the reason why I really thought that worked well is because the way it was edited and directed with their faces just alternating between them, they're symmetrical, exactly in the center. So they're just switching positions basically, and it accentuated both how close they were physically at the time and the separation between them, the literal and figurative separation that they were trying to work through. And I thought he was just very effective way to do that, as opposed to say having them take their helmets off and talk, or having them talk later in the episode when they didn't need the helmets. So I thought it was a really, really interesting choice.
After Burnham goes,
"Are you sure you don't want me to slow down? Try to get you that oil bath."
Like Book like sucks his teeth and makes this face that I don't think I've ever seen him make in any other episode. He's just like, come on, man. It was pretty awesome. I don't know. I like that shot.
It was well.
Oh, by the way, primordial black hole, they are hypothetical black holes that formed soon after the Big Bang.
Okay. Are they still around or are they evaporated away?
I don't know.
I mean, it takes a long time for a black hole to evaporate. So.
I don't know.
All right. I don't want to inaccurately claim that Tilly is wrong about something, because Tilly is awesome.
Tilly.
All right.
They couldn't make her wrong.
Another good episode. Sad to say that next week is going to be the last episode of Discovery.
Also, I just wanted to comment on two other quick things. I still can't get over the age difference between Trina and Saru. She's got to be like 200. He's got to be like 30 or something like that.
I think it might be exaggerating a little bit on both of those.
But like T'Pol is like 70, and so Trina's like got to be 150 at least.
All right.
And so, but the point is the age gap between Saru and Trina is greater than that of Neelix and Kes. So
yes,
but somehow Neelix, of course, Kes is 2 years old,
yes.
so that makes a difference.
Yes, and and Neelix and Kes was like creepy in the 90s. It was creepy. Like in the 90s, people were like, "This is creepy," as opposed to this very lovely relationship between two very mature.
It's true.
And wise people.
It's true.
Between Saru. But you said there was one other thing,
There's
Dan?
no double standard there. The bridge is so big. Like,
it's too big.
It's when there was a scene at the Rayner was giving a speech at the end. He was, or not really a speech. He hailed Maul to tell her that they needed their. He was like, "You need our help," basically saying like, "Let's team up. You need our help." And it showed him standing, like talking to her. By the way, he was like all looking around the whole time. It was weird, but he looked small. It was a weird shot because it was like maybe it was the way maybe it was wide angle or something. But the way he looked standing there, it made him look really small. And plus, because the camera was coming from the viewpoint of the view screen.
Now, I hear that the bridges are big partly because they use these cranes for the cameras, and it's just like just do a normal
I think part of also what made him look small is because the camera was behind the pilot consoles, which are up close, so they looked all big. And I don't know, just that shot, he looked really small and weird. Oh, and by the end, notice that the whole thing about like him like not sitting in the captain's chair and making him nervous.
Yeah,
the last scene, he sat in the captain's chair.
Yeah, he was like, all right, now I got to be the captain.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like, ha.
Yeah, it was cool. Next week, the series finale of Discovery is called Life, Itself.
This is insane.
So that's what we'll be watching. You will be watching. We will all be discussing it next week. And then after that, until new Star Trek episodes, I guess we'll probably be pulling Dan's algorithm out the old mothballs to let up the algorithm figure out what comes next. Because for those of you who've only listened to us doing new episodes, when it's not new episodes, we bounce around the whole Star Trek universe and discuss all manner of interesting things. Okay, so
good talk.
Website www.isgotstartrek.com. Oh, I thought there was going to be a sound effect, but there wasn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I the one time, like, you actually wanted me to play a sound while you're talking at the end.
Normally, you just do that. But anyway.
You pathetic awkward!
Feedback at itsgotstartrek.com. Social media at itsgotstartrek. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, all that other good stuff. You probably know all that anyway, but we do it as a matter of course.
What?
That's right.
Of course.
We look forward to talking to you next week. Bye-bye.
We should go.
Yeah. You wish to be one of my shopmates? Sure. Why not?
Well, I shall prepare a space for you in the oil bath.
Hurry up, Michael. This is getting weird.
Are you sure you don't want me to slow down? Try to get you that oil bath.